Yo, yo, yo. Um, yo, yo, yo. Everything's working. But
Continue to look around. We know Frosted Flats, Peterbot, and Pollo are nearby. You see Oliver OG and X-Pawn in the distance, but as you know, Acorn and Bolts, they're the ones that hold down Frosted Flats. And you got to notice in the minimap, they actually have one of those two legendary
yeah, better
POIs.
stack, bro.
Yeah, definitely. Nice sight lines on everyone around them. The zone's actually pulling straight this way, and they get a little favoritism with the zone still pulling over this mountain here. This is one of two basically high points that's available kind of in this side of the map. This can cause for some very interesting turmoil coming
Virgo
in.
Shadow.
Meanwhile, Shadow Virgo. Man, we saw so many conversations start to unravel here. Talk about putting Virgo on the fraud watch, right? Like, what's going on? What happened during heats? It should have been a shoe-in competition for them. But either way, they dominated their way through the LCL. And they did it in such a spectacular fashion, right? You saw how Virgo managed to clutch up his game, send himself straight through to the finals. And there's a lot of haters out there, right? You have folks like Veno trying to bet against them, but in the end, the M8 team came out ahead.
So far, looking good in this game, just like DK, Causers, taking a quick tag there in the distance by Vlex. But you got to imagine with that elimination, they did get a decent amount of surge. They got to start feeling confident here. Got to be quick on the button, though. Storm is doing a decent amount of damage, so gold is definitely going to be relevant for them in this game. As we jump on board, the eastern side of the map, though, we haven't seen too much from these shores. Bugha and Braids kind of making it out, contested or not. They seem to be faring well. They're only 100 damage above the threshold, though. That's my main concern. Isn't necessarily the resources, the materials, anything of the sort. Because even though they're 123 above now, this is the first surge that we have in the game. So if they don't continue to accumulate those numbers, we could see a point in time where they fall below that threshold.
Yeah, this entire setup is, I was going to say, almost solely dependent on whether or not a team's going to rotate around the outskirts for a dead side, and I'm not sure I love it. Underneath them, you saw Contrap and Darzi there, so the fight sort of broke out, didn't really have a meaningful ending. We'll keep tabs on it. On the other side, though, you have Jit here, just at the Latte landing. Again, so much contestation happening up here. Veno and Agers looking to stay deep in the storm right now, maximize their materials, and even that, even after finishing their fights the way you saw them do it, look at this. Their loadouts are not that pretty, not on the material count at least, and we're getting closer and closer to the 2-tick.
Yeah, it's not just the material. You see bandages in the inventory. Obviously, you know he needs those, doesn't want to use that chug unless he actually has to, but you can kind of see because of a triple contested fight, even if you win the fight,
Agers,
not
bro.
a lot of resources will
Conning
remain when the dust settles. But they are going to go ahead and use the zone to their advantage.
18 below
Victor V and Queasy. A real peculiar situation. 18 below the damage threshold, uncontested on the day. And so you got to imagine with how long it took them to actually farm up and get their game going, they probably haven't had too many chances to get surge at this point in time.
Yeah, this is actually very, very scary, right? Only 4.
Yeah, no fucking shit,
would have went any differently.
How you guys have all this loot and bad surge? I don't understand.
Active here. But they're
like, utilize your loot, bro. You have a gold fucking
positioning right now.
Now your eyes are below.
Oh my god, this is turning on here. It's going to start costing them. But look, there's duos all around them. They just got to start getting active here, finding the shots.
Missed a shot, bro.
I was going to say, Queasy, these are the tags you need to hit here. These are your game-determining, game-defining shots right now.
Yeah, you can get 100 damage with the body shot. We just need to be able to hit those shots. Those are crucial ones like you were talking
about. You can't be missing those shots.
3 extra storm surge ticks was about 75 damage, possibly even more, because now he's taking that time to heal up. We gotta imagine Victor V also being very persistent to try to get them above the damage threshold. That's why they're gonna find themselves 43. Again,
I mean, yeah, with a mythic pistol and a gold deagle, I would hope y'all would be above surge.
It's a moment for them to breathe and reassess the situation.
I'm curious if whether or not they have extra heals to work with here at the POI. Well, we're rooting for them, so we'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, Peterbot sees what's happening here just outside the storm. We're talking about them needing a little bit of activity, but look at this. It turned into a nice little third party from range. Finds a fresh Elam.
Josh and Yonzo.
Those are the
I think
people
Josh is
that
lurking.
have Peter Boya rotating in from the outside of the
I know.
storm. Again, no one wants to stay there. 2 tick, and then the 5 is going to start ripping
Wow,
apart
Josh
players
and
that
Yonzo's shambles
get
now.
greedy here. Yamzo, Josh on the other side fighting for their surge. Fighting for their tournament life right now. Barely holding on. 59 above. There's a couple cheeky tags there. Can he get the Elam? He does. Nicely done for Yamzo.
And honestly, coming into this,
Josh
I was a little
falls.
worried. You know,
Where the
not necessarily knowing
Josh,
where
how
they're
the
gonna
fuck
drop
did
as
Josh
goes
die?
down, but they've been in this situation before at the Summit Land, having to change things up at the last second. But it gets even worse now with Josh going down. Iamzo left by
Bro.
himself. The blessing is there at least.
Queasy's
above the damage threshold.
290
On the other
blow.
side, no blessings coming their way. Victor V down. Queasy still getting struck by Storm Surge. Eventually gets in the box.
Yeah, cause y'all missed so
Right
much
back to
damage.
the lobby, and
Oh
this is
my
where you see
god.
game
Oh,
one of
no.
finals sometimes usually has the most tricks going around.
Yeah, Storm Surge starting to take its toll.
Come on,
Queasy
Zoe,
Victor
clutch
V
up, baby.
Down and out. Yamzo and Josh not looking too great either as Josh gets taken
Just
out. trying to
move. You're getting lobby. Just get the
Slip
fuck out of
barely
there.
throw his way into the safe zone. It was close, but a little too far for Yamzo here. At least Josh's loot, he does get to secure it, right? So he gets a couple extra heals. He'll be able to go the distance for a little bit here.
Nah,
It's
they're
not too far off
shambles.
the placement, especially considering they pulled zone, but we'll see what the damage is looking like. Oh yeah.
Check out
not
below.
too
Nah, he's not
good.
that
This is
bad.
a
He's not
rough
that bad.
spot to be
Not that bad. No. It's not that
Yeah,
rough.
you can kinda see
He
him
just one tag. One
switching
tag.
to that
One tag with the shotgun.
shotgun
He's
instead of
good.
Striker. That's just because he probably wants to shoot off into the distance. It does land damage farther than the striker.
Okay, but
actually
not
will.
that
So
far.
Yamzo trying to use his brain instead of preparing for a box-to-box fight that may never come. He's just trying to make
Right
sure
there.
he gets above
Oh,
the damage
look at that.
threshold.
He's gonna get
Luda
tagged.
down
He's gonna get
in the
tagged. He's gonna
distance
get
as
tagged.
well,
He's gonna get
currently
tagged.
positioned up above, and this is where you can see how chaotic this lobby is actually getting because of Storm
Don't
Surge.
take damage,
If you're
though.
not proactive, you're not reacting in real time. You end up in a position.
Don't take
just
damage,
to
though.
raise
What
on
are you
the other side, move
doing?
it down, but he is really making it work. A couple shots gonna connect. He's gonna get him 100 above.
100 above? Bro, he's fucking below.
Looking to play solo too. Surge is down active.
Oh my god.
Yamzo taking a bunch of damage. Meanwhile, Braids is trying to stay active so he doesn't slip behind, but Yamzo's got so much more to worry about. Meanwhile, a team falls. He manages to catch a little bit of relief here, but for how long will that last? And look at how close they are, actually. Yamzo and Braids hip to hip as two of the only solos here on the backside of zone.
Oh,
And I was gonna
Come on,
say,
Braids.
Zone could
Nice.
be a nightmare here in the next one, but it's not gonna be a max pull for either one of our solos, Yamzo or Braids, but it's definitely gonna be a ton of distance to overcome, especially for Yamzo. 42 below, active surge. He lands a shot, but it's going to be a trade, so not a net positive.
Nice.
overall.
Oh, good shit.
A couple of
Good shit, Zo.
are gonna land onto the
Good shit,
back
Zo.
zone. That's gonna get him 141.
Come on, baby.
above the damage threshold.
Show them why the fuck you're the
He's running
greatest.
Out of everything.
Yeah, but that
Good
was
shit.
an incredible play now.
Yep.
That buys him so much more time here. As long as he doesn't slip behind,
Where's Pete?
he'll definitely be able to
P already
turn this into
died?
something here.
Oh, okay, I was about to
While
say.
he waits, later he
I
gets
see
to
him.
rotate here. We'll see if that
Reed
ends
and
up
Cooper,
playing to his
already with 2
benefit.
kills.
Meanwhile, Reed and Cooper earning their drop, making the most out of it as well. 2 elims here and now. Looking comfortable, but the material count a little worse for wears. Very light here for the most part.
Yeah, and you can kind of see 400 damage above. We saw Reed's loadout for a second, and Cooper's as well. Double Spire rifle. So you see their plan for this game, Monster, was just get above that damage threshold at any cost. They're hoping to maybe pick up a
Aiden
pistol or
on
something
height.
else as the game does continue. But you're seeing the update affecting a lot of the game plans. Even Clicks and Rapid here having a little bit of a struggle. Half their POI taken below the damage threshold. Rapid finds that opportunity. 46 above. It's at least a moment for them
Okay,
to
Clicks-
breathe as they get
Clicks and
another
Rapid.
opportunity there. Not
I mean, their
necessarily
surge are
the
looking
elimination
like
monster,
dog
but all of
dick,
that loot.
but
Hey, but also the placement points. They've managed to make it to the most difficult part of Fortnite, and that's the end game where placement points start to get dished out here.
both.
Corn's down. Bolt is by
Oh,
himself,
no.
finding himself in the mix here, 10 below as well. But a couple players just have to fall here for him to be safe, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. In any
Webster
case,
died.
being a solo here is a tough spot to be in. Let's see what Bolts can do as far as clutches are concerned. We saw what Acorn did over the course of the last
Aiden
weekend.
and Clicks on height.
As he found his way to a massive highlight. Meanwhile, looking at things from the high ground, you have Aiden just
Yo,
kind of
still
holding
clutching,
things down,
bro.
and Calixi. Yamzo still
Nice, bro.
finds another Elim as well. This one
Good
up to
shit, Zo.
OG.
Your max max build,
That's
build,
3
build.
Elims and more placement points.
Yeah, from 2 builds to 65 plus.
Good
One of the most
shit.
important refreshes anybody can come at this point
Nah,
in
for
time,
real.
trying to keep himself going. He's in the meat of those placement points. Top 10 is where you get half of them. And as of now, Aiden and Clixie, though, up at the top. They have not been contested. We're going over some recycled buildings down below mountains, so nobody really having a chance at this point in time to look up.
Fuck.
But we know it's only the night zone, still early, so we know that can come.
This is so uncharacteristic for Peterbot and Pollo. They have pulled some max zones here, forcing them into low ground, cost them so much material. But this is a dangerous place for all the other duos to have Peterbot and Pollo. The speed, the accuracy, their ability to perform is top tier. You're watching
Veno
it go
Agers.
down. Meanwhile, Veno Agers, 7 eliminations, dominating right now. My gosh, they are running away with things.
Yeah, because they're
Obviously in the
fucking.
inventory as well. Mythic
They
Pistols,
performing
Victor
grands,
Lee,
not
Victor
them
V,
scrims.
Queasy, probably taken out by them or something close to it as Higgs gets an elimination. They immediately try to elevate themselves.
No,
again.
Aiden went
High ground has
down.
just been eliminated, and it's Peterbot and Pollo out of nowhere to be the ones to do it, and they've claimed their stake on high ground. But you see Veno and Agers
how
underneath
you
that.
guys
Higgs
lose
and
like
Curve
that?
still firing off, getting eliminations. These are all teams that know how to play towards that height. And here it
Oh,
goes.
Peterbot died.
Agers is going to be the first one.
Agers
to
died.
up above. Peterbot
Trade.
Agers has gonna fall. Both teams being shattered and placed as solo.
Come on, bro.
Doesn't matter.
Another 1v2, baby.
Pollo is dangerous. He wins his ones. Veno gets deleted on the way up, and he's forced to the ultimate low ground. I think another team's actually got their attention to the high ground, but Pollo, it's no sweat as he's trying to download what's happening here all around him. Meanwhile, you can see Vert lurking. You can see Bolt still clutching as
Ritual
a solo
still
as
clutching.
well. And take a look at this. Ritual finding himself by himself once again. Cole doing the smart thing here, dropping him all the excess heals. There goes the material count. He has to stay in the storm in order to pick up these extra
Nice.
mats
Top 10.
to try to go to this.
Top 10 with
Yeah,
with
these
1
could
kill. I
be
mean, but
crucial placement
not the
points
worst.
here.
Not the worst. Not the
Risk-free
worst.
placement points for the most part.
Yo.
Bypassing everything that's going on here, and while Pollo's as a solo up above.
Damn,
Higgs
Riggs and Curve are actually
clearing
playing
out
good.
the mid and low layers. Anybody who crossed their path has just been eliminated. And down below, all the way in the mud, Muzz and Rise still holding strong. Their fifth
Yeah, everyone's doing
elimination
good.
here. It could be between these 3 teams left. There's another one. gonna
Wow,
put
wait,
2K
this grand's gonna be
just
so
got
good.
eliminated.
Hold up.
NA is so exciting. We're watching these
I know.
exceptional duos go toe-to-toe right now. Curve and Higgs trying to fight for the high ground here, but Pollo's putting up a strong defense. Curve goes around for it. He wants this high ground more than anything. As that'll set them up for the
Good game,
win.
good game, good game, good game.
Higgs beats down Pollo, and now it's theirs to run away with. A little bit of
Yeah.
ball damage, some extra shots
Good
here,
game.
though, so low ground recognizing there's some danger up top. Remember, that's Rise and Muzz who are running out of material here. This is a big refresh for them. There it is. They managed to get the loot here, and now we're looking at the 2v2.
Yeah, that Mythic Warforged could
Damn.
make a difference, but really no chance to use it. Muzz is gonna go down first. His teammate Rise is gonna fall to the zone, and Higgs and Curve end off heats with 18 eliminations and start grand finals with a win.
Had the pleasure to talk with Curves and Curve.
Got to hear these was
It's up there. Curve, talk about it's way too over. They had to take.
fun for it to be as well.
I mean, there's a reason. Title. Maybe it's when we.
Higgs and Curve. It's a game 1 win. Let's see who's first. First place, you got Higgs and Curve with 113 points. First place. Muzz and Rise second. Peterbot. Who's doing shit right now? Ocus and Zanda. 20 champ. Paper and Zana doing bad. Sepsi and Donnie. Longo, Dozier and Eshu. I'm trying to see like a Queasy and Victor V, bro. Fucking horrible game. H-Cube, Contrap and Darcy, Webster and Encrypted. Pauses and DK, Dash, Noxy. Bro. Golden Ozone, Bruga, bro. Shadow and Virgo doing shit. Quick 20th place. 25th right now, bro. Damn. Oliver G top 8, top 19, bro. That's crazy. Solo clutch. They couldn't bolt. 15th. Not the worst game, not the best game. Such an underrated top 10, bro. You got Skittles, Kingston, Ritual, Cold, Reed, Cooper, Yuz, and Sharkman, and then Moneymaker Fernandez in 4th. Like, this is crazy.
Welcome back, Fortnite fam. Sorry about that. Kelly laughed at me the whole 3 minutes. But we're back. We're back. Game number 1. Curve and Higgs. 12 elim. Victory Royale. This is a statement game if I've ever seen one. With so many duos in that lobby. They were following, like, watching going, oh my gosh, this is the most chaotic endgame we've ever seen in our lives. Hope that they can find the way. Well, Higgs, Curve, they got themselves the VR. As we start to take a look at these standings, yeah, it's gonna be a little skewed for sure. Higgs and Curve break into the triple digits immediately off of that. But man, so many different duos performed so big in that last game. Let's talk about Agers and Veno showing up. Obviously, for Veno, you know, they had that little spat on high ground, and then he decided, oh shoot, we gotta go ahead and dip out, and then was left to solo clutch. But still, they're going crazy. They have so many eliminations.
Yeah, and there was a big
On the
question
Webster.
as far as them landing
Yo, Webster
a
dead.
contested POI. How exactly are they going to be able to handle this? And they had, what, 5 eliminations early on around Zone 4. So to see them being able to handle these situations early on is exactly what we needed to see from them to be able to have a successful endgame. And that's exactly what we got to watch. Honestly, the height still didn't necessarily go the way that they were hoping to. And having it be up against Peterbot and Polio, there's only so much that you can do in that 2v2 situation. So although it did come down to a little bit of a solo play from Veno in the end there, not necessarily exactly the end game that they
Hey, what
wanted,
did
but with
Burke
the
say
amount
something?
of eliminations that they were able to grab in the early and mid
Burke
game,
killed him.
it's able to kind of hold them up in our top 10 leaderboard now.
Yeah, great to see Veno and Agers kind of getting into mix towards the end of the game.
Probably
I
like
will kind
11.
of give everybody at home a quick little peek into some of the stats behind the scenes. Veno actually did the most amount of damage that game. He had upwards of 1,400, and second place actually only had 1,100. So 300 damage, kind of ahead of Higgs, who was in second place there. So the damage is being dealt by Veno, and the damage was actually dealt up towards the high ground. We did see Veno and Agers try to make a little bit of a play onto Peterbot and Polio, who of course were kind of holding the high ground up there for
I
just
know you
a
just got
short
here, but
spell.
you need to go in that room.
Being
Me and you.
said, that
What?
little bit of a
Put that
fight
blanket
we
on
saw
top of
go
that
on
bed.
up there
How
was
you keep
kind
a
of
stick on
actually
it.
on the back foot of Peterbot and Polio
Hey!
in this elimination right there. If you got a quick glimpse of that,
Let me ask you a
Peterbot was
question.
actually down to 9 builds.
Be-
But that
be
single
honest with me.
elimination netted him
I heard about
upwards
that shit.
of
Wow.
120 builds. After
You
that,
gamble
you're
with
like,
this
"Alright,
shit?"
it's time
No.
to go ahead and take high ground.
You
Wait
put
a
money
minute.
into
No.
that to get
Why
what
is
you need.
I don't do
Agers
big
up
money.
there shooting me in the back?
They do it, though.
Yeah,
But
so
I
it
don't
kind
do
of
it.
caught off guard just a little bit. But
Is that
of
why
course,
you get
Polio
all
kind of
fucking
stayed
upset over
alive
here, get
and was
mad?
able
No, I
to
don't
go ahead
gamble.
And do exactly
I'm
what
talking
we
about
saw
like
him do
trying to
at
fight
Summit.
and stuff like that.
And
And
No.
stayed alive as
if
the
they
solo
beat
to
you
go
up,
ahead
you
and
lose
secure
money.
a couple
No.
more points.
I don't
Being
gamble.
said, it wasn't
They
anything
do that.
crazy. It
I know
was
they
a
do that. I don't do that.
1v4 clutch win, but
Well,
enough to
I
go
don't.
ahead
I'm
and
trying to
keep
put
them
things
towards
together,
the
you
top
know?
half.
That's why the
know.
guy's picking out over
Yeah,
here.
No,
Polio, once
I don't
again
gamble.
holding that solo, and to do it in the way that he did, where it wasn't necessarily like he was playing scared, he was kind of in the back end of zone. No, he was playing that like he was a full duo, even dropping down to get refreshes on recently eliminated players while still controlling height. But obviously there's only so much you can do in that moment, especially when you had full duos around you like Higgs and Curve, Muzz and Rise on the low ground. But just lots of big teams in that end game there. But you know, we talked about him a little bit at the start of the show. Muzz and Rise, you asked me, Zeke, is this a team, a duo that can come out and break into the top 10? And I honestly couldn't give you a confident answer at the start. I don't want to lie to you. There was a bit of a question mark because they are so newly formed and we haven't really been able to see them in these set lobbies. But finally, when there's doubts casted, they like to make sure that there is no doubt for them anymore. Muzz and Rise getting second place in the game number 1 is a great way to start their tournament.
I mean, second place, 6 eliminations, and honestly had a pretty good chance to go ahead and win that game as well, as they were a duo alive kind of on the low ground there. Unfortunately, couldn't make it happen, but they will definitely be happy with their game 1 performance without a doubt.
You know, there's so many other things in that game. There's so many solo clutches. I gotta think about that Iamzo solo clutch in that game. Again, we have 12 games we have to fight through, right? This isn't like a sprint. This is a marathon. So finding these situations where you can pick up these critical points, man, major props to Iamzo.
I mean, it was even before this moment when Josh first went down, where he was trying to break into the edge of zone, and he had two different teams kind of pinching him from either side, and he was just using so much mats, so many of his heals just to stay alive. I thought, well, there's no way, he's used up so many resources, but Iamzo grabs this clutch refresh elimination in the moment that he needed it most, just giving him the mats that he needed to survive and make it into the end game even further. And so that's allowing them to be currently in 16th place. And honestly, from how rough that kind of transition into the moving zones were, I think that that is an impressive result for him.
Yeah, I think when he actually entered that situation himself, I think they were on 8 points. So if he just went down, didn't actually put up a performance like that, he'd be on 8 points and a whole heck of a lot further down the leaderboard. So 28 points, nothing too crazy, but still kind of keeping them in the top 20. And
I'm
looking
back,
at that
chat.
second page right there, I did see another team that I'm sure everybody at home was kind of seeing as well. Acorn Bolts in 15th place. Not necessarily a good game from those guys. Kind of expect them to do better, but that's why we love grand finals. 2 days, 12 games total, so 11 more to go.
You need to go in that room.
Being said, that little bit of a
Put the
fight
blanket
we
on
saw
top of
go
that
on
bed.
up there
How
was
you keep on sleeping on
actually
it.
on the back foot of Peterbot and Polio
Hey!
in this elimination right there. If you got a quick glimpse of that,
Let me ask you a
Peterbot was
question.
actually down to 9 builds.
Be-
But that
be
single
honest with me.
elimination netted him
Nah, who about
upwards
that shit?
of 120 builds. After
You
that,
gamble
you're
with
like,
this shit?
"Alright, it's time to go ahead and take higher ground."
You
Wait
put
a
money
minute.
into that
No.
to get
Why
what
is
you need.
he
I don't
just
do
up
big
there
money.
shooting me in the back?
They do it,
And,
though.
yeah,
But
so
I
he
don't
kind
do
of
it.
caught off guard just a little bit. Of
That's why
course,
you get
Polio
all
kind of
fucking
stayed
upset over here,
alive
get
and was
mad.
No, I don't
supposed to go ahead
gamble.
and do exactly
I'm
what
talking
we
about
saw
like
him do
trying to
at
fight
Summit.
and stuff like that.
And
And
he
No.
stayed alive as
if
the
they
solo
beat
to
you
go
up,
ahead
you
and
lose
secure
money.
a couple
No.
more points.
I don't
Being
gamble.
said, it wasn't
They
anything
do that.
crazy. It
I know
was
they
a
do that. I don't do that.
1v4 clutch win, but a
Recently eliminated you into the end.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, this is just like the feeler game.
More points, you are rewarded more. So more points, you are rewarded more. So Curve and Higgs are very far from some of that other competition right now.
Yeah, we've also seen a few teams that you didn't necessarily expect to be dealing with Storm Surge were actually really affected by that Storm Surge mechanic. Inability to get enough positive damage ratio throughout the course of the game
Who the
really
fuck in the
hurt them
chat?
in the second half of those zones. But there's 11 games left, plenty of time to make adjustments, so let's just jump into game 2.
I swear, bro. I think it's so much more entertaining
There
than
we
EU,
have
bro.
it. Game number 2's kicking off, and of course,
Deadass.
Bugha and Braids. We had this big question mark on their contested drop. It seems like they've gotten themselves a little bit of distance from Contrap and Darcy. In the early game last time when we tuned in, the fight had already broken out, and they were almost forced into a stalemate here. I do wonder if it's just the terrain, right? It's really hard to navigate with all the trees and whatnot. If this drop spot is ever going to be completely clear for them, probably not. But on
Bro,
the other
guys,
side here,
come
you have to
on,
fight
they're
with the
fighting.
jobs breaking out
Ah,
already.
nah.
They're coming out way ahead.
And I already see a little difference here in this fight versus kind of how we peeked into the action in that last game is unless they got big pots off or maybe a Chug Jug, it doesn't look like they took a single hit of damage. So already changed the way things up, but this one will not change. Triple contested as Agers actually gets 2 to jump on him. They don't get the uncontested eastern side anymore, but he does scare him off, gets the first floor loot. Veno jumps in to take down Chimp, basically leaving 20 by himself on this side of the map.
So smart too. Look at the thought process coming out of Veno there, not to fully commit into the builds, knowing that the teammate was here, waits for
Help.
Agers to come through, but 20 gets the exchange.
You're all
there.
fucking
It
idiots.
was quick, but here it is. Madden and Chance want revenge. They're coming in fast. Veno's gonna have to play this one smart.
Yeah, essentially 2.
Come on,
We've got
come on,
Yassi
Vino.
and Jojo Fishy in the distance as well that can potentially disrupt this. Agers fully eliminated out of this game. No chance for a revive. 68 points in that last game for Veno and Agers. They made a play for the high ground, and
No,
consistency
shut fucking
throughout
up.
2 games really relies on this, how he's going to survive. He doesn't have any extra shields. Other than that, he just found, thanks to Ritual going down, of course. So this is definitely going to leave him with his hands full.
This is perfect. Look, you have Magma now starting to look up as well, possibly thinking about jumping into this fight here, but Veno's lurk game is just the best that we've ever seen. Look, he holds it down so long enough that Chance and Manor are still debating if whether or not it's worth going inside the builds here. Veno just watching. He could even sneak out if he really wanted to, but Might get caught in the process. He
Nah,
already
I
knows
think he stays and fucks him up. I can't lie.
Now they're gonna leave them to second guess themselves, and Veno's probably gonna get away scot-free here.
Yeah, those third-party shots from the
Nah,
distance.
they're looking at the fucking
Kind of made
stream.
Magna Chance just kind of scurry away from that side, which means they can no longer lurk. But the shot
Oh
from
my
above,
gosh.
the rapid-fire SMG, Veno strikes him down and brings it to him and Chance in a 1v1 scenario. Chance getting that shockwave effect, being able to move a little bit faster could be the difference maker here.
You're
As able to
fucking
get in and
bunned.
out of the box, but Veno still hitting Haymaker. After
Your
Haymaker
guys are
got
bunned.
boxed up. Veno,
Oh, no.
what are we witnessing, monster?
But now Magma comes up, he sees what's going on here. That back wall was not his. He does manage to take it just in time, and now he's scrambling to try to stay up here. 2 shots.
No!
from the side, and Veno
Oh
falls
my
with
God.
eliminations. He did manage to pad the stats, but in the end, Void and Magma's timing was just too good. They waited patiently, but my gosh, what a clutch from Veno there.
Yeah, it just almost seems to me everybody was watching the feed. When you see Chimp go down, you're like, at least 2 teams are fighting. When you see Madden go down to Veno and Aegis, you're seeing all 3 teams in that exchange. Magma and Void probably watched the feed along with Reet and Cooper. Perfectly timed, at least 1 elimination, cleaning that one up, getting some surge. And this is where you see Reet and Cooper kind of doing the same thing. They have the
Fucking
luxury to
crazy.
rotate around because of that crucial win against Josh Niamzo for the actual POI. So now they can easily go back to Wonky Land and continue on with the rest of their game.
Just an explosive start to game number 2. And I mean, I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you hit the drawing board on that? What can you do better, right? Like, when a team just decides they're gonna full 50-50 you, and you manage to win that fight as fast as they did, but the other duos jump on you, and then you have a lurk outside of the POI. I mean, at this point, something's gotta break here. Well, either way, we get to start touching base with the teams that are performing very, very well here. Muzz and Rise, of course, have a nice little lead, nice little cushion being built here. You have Clicks and Rapid fighting off against Mirops. Mirops just recently signed to Team Force here, unfortunately. He is going to be one of the first to fall. 2 eliminations now for Clicks and Rapid here as things are starting to rack up for them.
Yeah, come on, bro.
I already know what happened. I already know what happened. We might see a replay soon, I don't know, but I already know what happened. They used the cube yet again from Sanctuary, and that was one of the things with everybody contested around them, or you can jump on Moneymaker, or you could jump on Visuals and Threads. I think they just saw QK Mirops out of position. The first one got surprise attacked, and then from there, 2v1 against Clicks and Rapid. Honestly, gonna be hard for anybody to overcome odds like that.
Except
So
Pete.
they're gonna go ahead and start their game off, and you can really see a lot of the adjustments from not just one team, but multiple teams in this lobby. One of the things I kind of noted when we started this game is how some teams were kind of
they're
lacking with one surge. It was
shambles,
the
bro.
inevitable
Damn.
downfall. I think they're realizing from game 1 to game 2, that cannot be a thing.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Josh Niamzo, we know, had very little surge going into that second, zone 6 or so, right as we got to that moving zone. So things were looking a little worse for wears for them. Another team that we definitely want to touch on, obviously King and Craze here, right? Very strong duo. We didn't really see their journey nor follow it game 1, but they were in 4th place with 4 eliminations. They have just been playing exceptionally well over the last few weeks, and they have slowly and surely earned their way into the conversation as a team that can be a dark horse winner of this weekend's competition. Part of what's going on here is that there are so many teams contested all around them, so a lot of favorable things kind of lining up for King and Craze. But take a look at this fight, Peterbot and Boyo. This is more about what we see from them grains to grains, right? Picking and choosing their fights wisely.
Yeah, they just got to be careful here. They're a little bit further north than I would expect it at this point in time, but again, the zone pulling, probably forcing their hands, but they went from Sinister all the way to above Calamari Canyon, even though we probably don't see him yet. One of those 2 teams in the minimap could very well be King and Craze, looking to third party it, because we know when it comes to King and Craze, they don't necessarily sit in one of those boxes shooting off in the distance to get their surge. They're a fighting team. They kind of remind you of like that early Peterbot and Poyo duos where even if they were below on surge, you kind of see them fighting on the outskirts. The next time you see them, they're 500 above. That's the feeling I get from King and Craze.
Yeah, definitely a dynamic duo. Boyo, Peterbot right now. This is looking pretty good as they disengage from the fight. They've got what they wanted. They got to touch the vending machine there, get a couple trade and tags off there. See Acorn Bolt still watching nearby. Last time in game 1, they were kind of positioned up not too far from Peter Boya and Frosted Flats. This time they have found themselves in a bush, also in the warpath of Peter Boya. So the strategies coming together fairly closely game to game, but also dynamic from game to game, which you can definitely appreciate.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes good shots right there from Acorn, but when you're kind of boxed up, you know, teams don't necessarily peek unless they kind of see a window open, a half edit, so they're not necessarily looking in your direction. By utilizing bushes here, you do leave yourself vulnerable. How many times have we seen teams rotate by and just kind of blindly shoot the bushes to make sure nobody's there? But what this is allowing them to do is catch so many teams off guard, even the ones that are in their bases. And even though it might be one shot here, one shot there, those small numbers add up over the course of the game. So Acorn having his head on straight along with Bolts, looking to make up for a couple of the mistakes they made in that last game. As we continue to look around, Boji, Alongo, Causers, DK, Vlex, and his duo there. Still on the outskirts, still early on in the game, Monsters, so I don't think it's necessarily going to affect too many players being this slow to the zone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're taking their time, but they're farming teams for surge damage here. But in the distance, that duo we just saw, H-Cube and VLEX, hearing the shot, so now they have effectively all the information of the two teams and where they're positioned inside.
First
the storm
place,
line
bro.
there. Meanwhile, Curve and Higgs on the other side. I just find it so interesting that they somehow managed to piece together enough damage considering they play one of the most isolated sections of the map here. But they just get to it when it matters. They find their damage fast.
Yeah, I think part of that is not necessarily that they're not finding damage, is they're not taking damage either, you know what I mean? So it ends up kind of at 0 for most of the early game. One tag is going to put them above most of the teams, even taking no damage. You see the rotation coming out from Reed and Cooper, something that we saw in the heat stages for them to make it there. Reese Hub just going, showing everybody how it works. You kind of just either pickaxe or just take a shot at one of those flotation devices, flies in the water. And the key for this strategy, though, is that rapid fire SMG. Every other weapon in the game will simply do way too much damage. The flotation device will break, and you'll end up like the skipper, just stuck in the middle of nowhere. But they go ahead and do that, allows them to, in a matter of 60 seconds to maybe a minute and a half max, they rotate all the way from Wonky Land to the southern portion of the map where they're looking to head.
This is what makes them such a sleeper duo, right? Look at the preparation involved in setting themselves up here for the grand finals. You didn't see this come out of this particular team during the heat section. We did see this strategy used during the heat section, but we knew there was going to be a team to bring it to grands. And of course, go figure, it's Reed and Cooper now. Meanwhile,
Say hi to Johnny, guys.
Slow start to their game 1 Heat Wave Harbor.
Hi, Johnny.
Where's
the thing?
Shadow,
Where's
watching
the thing?
things off.
Yep, 500 subs.
Full on fight
Yeah.
breaking out right ahead of them. We have Webster here.
Along with Encrypted. Webster?
Oh,
Part
this
of
is
that
Encrypted?
313 community with Bucky, Okus, who's also in this. I know Brando's
Where am I?
joining that
Tell me
as
right now.
well. And when Webster qualified, the entire house
Help the ladies
erupted
in
with
here. I burned
cheers.
over
Like, that is the type of friendship you want to
There's
have
dudes on
supporting.
stream talking
and
to me
that
about
comes from
gambling
Bucky
shit,
not
I swear to
making the
God.
actual finals. For him to still show that support is just absolutely insane. And so for
Who?
Webster Encrypted,
Him,
I feel like
you better
Webster's
be
playing with a
fucking
little bit of a
gambling here,
chip
huh?
on his shoulder.
Who,
You know,
him?
being
Him?
passed
Yes,
up
what the
by so
fuck?
many duos, finally getting somebody in Encrypted that he's confident with. And I think this is a moment to prove, like, hey, I'm not just a content creator, I'm a threat to your guys' lobbies.
All right, we're gonna start to
Those are the FHS grand finals right here. Yeah, if I get Nico on stream, you get banned. Yes. Why is it so? It's like a whole minute to leave. Yo, I need to change this shit. I'm gonna watch you get naked. Turn your camera off, bud.
Deep in the storm.
Let's end my stream.